Okay, so I've been analyzing and I've been seeing a lot going on with the Holly Bailey and DDG situation. And I don't want to talk about it. I really don't want to speak about it, and I'm not going to speak about it. I just want to address two things, two misconceptions that a lot of people are running with now. Since DDG's motion and the restraining order got denied. Okay, so I'm seeing a lot of people saying things from DDG's motion got denied and his restraining order got denied because the judge thought that everything that he read in the text messages were fabricated, like on some wearing a tinfoil hat type shit. Like people are literally coming out with conspiracies saying that it was AI, he made it all up, it's fake, those text messages aren't real. Holly would never say something like that. All the way to, oh, the reason why his motion got denied is because the judge felt like DDG was a threat to Holly and a threat to the baby, and DDG is unfit for the baby and a danger to the baby, and so they denied his motion because they think that he's a violent or aggressive person, and he may do harm to Holly and his son. And then all the way up to people saying the reason why the judge denied his motion is because it was all bullshit. The judge probably denied his motion because he just wanted to be petty, and the judge caught on to it. The judge probably thought it was just some sort of revenge tactic. And as soon as the judge went over the paperwork, the judge threw that out. And it's just like a lot of shit that people are running with. A lot of misconceptions, a lot of people that are uneducated, a lot of people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They just simply hate this man. They hate this man. They hate him to their core, to the point when they heard that his motion and the restraining order got denied, people was popping champagne, throwing up their arms, twerking, dropping it low, going crazy, hitting the mega knees stances. They was fucking shit up, man. These bitches is probably in the streets throwing a parade as we speak, my nigga. I'm talking about it's a freak neek, but it got something to do with Holly and DDG. It's a court. It's a court freak neek, my nigga. Other than that, so I've been seeing things and I've been looking at my for yous, and it's just been nothing but them. Everybody is covering this story. I can't get away from this shit. Most of the people that I've been seeing were taking up for Holly. Most people are on Holly's side still, even with the presented evidence. The only people that I've really seen that's on DDG's side is just his family and his friends. Outside of his family and his friends, it's kind of like an echo chamber. There's really nobody else in there. Outside his family and his friends, it's there's really no strangers or nobody else that's taking DDG's side. Most people that are strangers or people that don't know Daryl, don't even care to know who he is, they are choosing Holly. They're Team Holly all the way. So yeah, there's a lot of shit that was going on. People said that his motion was denied because there was a lot of reasons that people was running with that just makes absolutely no sense. It's nonsensical. And so I want to get into that. I want to get into these two misconceptions. And the first one is why his motion got denied. Okay? Now, as we read, there's many reasons for why a motion can get denied. But there's not one reason for that supports or is here that's claimed by any of the women that's going crazy on DDG bashing the shit out this man. Okay, it's not one reason here that these women talked about. Okay, not one. So here's number one: lack of urgency or immediate harm. As soon as I read this, this was valid. All of this is actually valid. So let's read it together. The court may deny an emergency motion if it believes the situation doesn't demand immediate intervention. For example, a motion might be denied if the harm alleged can be remediated in a regular hearing. Okay, so this makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense, and this pretty much sums up all of this pretty much sums up why the motion got denied and it wasn't granted, because there was really no sufficient evidence or proof that shows it was any immediate danger. Remember, keyword immediate. So there has to be proof that there's immediate danger between Holly, DDG, and Halo, especially Holly and Halo. Immediate danger showing that she could harm Halo in present time. Okay? So he has presented evidence, but it's not evidence that shows that immediately it's emergency where they need to keep Halo from going to keep Holly from going to Italy and keeping Halo. If the emergency is self-created due to lack of diligence in filing papers, the court may decline to grant emergency relief. Courts generally require proof of irreparable harm if the motion is not granted, meaning harm that cannot be fixed later in the proceedings. Um, so then there's also those reasons, but I doubt that any of these are the reasons. It did that document did not seem self-created. There was great diligence. I didn't read it, but a lot of people went over it. That shit was 160. First of all, man, that shit looked exactly like her document. Okay, so it wasn't this, and it wasn't this as well. Insufficient evidence or lack of merit. If the motion doesn't provide enough evidence to support the need for immediate relief, it may be denied. You see what I'm saying? So it's like it has to be immediate. If it's not immediate, it's gonna get denied. Like that's just simple. If it's gonna get denied. Uh, if they find a legal basis for the motion weak or lacking in merit. Okay, lack of notice. Okay, boom. So yeah, these though, no. Lack of notice, no. Failure to follow procedure, no. These definitely not it. But four is another one that I was paying attention to. That makes sense. Ultimately, the court has discretion to decide whether to grant an emergency motion. It will consider the specific facts of the case, the potential harm to all parties, and the families of the process. So clearly, in this circumstance, this situation, they don't think that there's any immediate danger to Halo from Holly. So of course, they weren't going to grant his emergency motion. Now here we go reading some more, and I want to read this with you guys because this gives a lot more detail and in depth, and it really explains a lot more, and it kind of clears it up for the slow people out there. So here it is. Insufficient evidence. If the petition didn't provide enough evidence to prove that the child is in immediate danger, the judge may deny the ex parte order. So I'm 100%, I know for a fact, this is why the motion got denied because there's not enough evidence. It's not that he doesn't have any good evidence. It's just that it's no evidence that proves or solidifies that it's an immediate danger and it requires an emergency. So then here we go. We're reading this. When a motion is denied, the judge has rejected requests made in the motion, meaning the requested action or ruling will not be implemented in a case. Okay? This doesn't necessarily mean the party who filed the motion loses. Now this is important. And the reason why this is important is because a lot of people are running and taking the motion being denied and the restraining order being denied as DDG dug himself a grave, right? A lot of people are sitting out here saying shit like, "Oh, DDG thought he ate. Oh, DDG thought he had it." Mm-mm-mm. They threw your motion out of the window, doodle garbage. Um, no. This does not mean that DDG loses. This does not mean that this is apprehendable harm that causes him for the case or future cases for fighting for custody or anything else, okay? This simply just means that the motion was denied. That's it. And let's read some more. As they may still be able to object to the evidence. Now, that's also important. Object to the evidence. So DDG can still fight the evidence and still he can try and solidify and clarify and clean it up. So DDG can still sit there and have a discourse with the judge and explain his side and basically give very legit logical reasonings for why he did it that are sensible, that it could make him not look bad, right? It could make him look like, okay, the judge can say, I understand why you did it now. It makes sense. So DDG can still objectify to it, right? They could still talk about it. They can still go through it. If the judge has any questions that the judge wants to ask DDG about why he did what he did, DDG can answer it and stuff like that. You get what I'm saying? So then, boom. The case then proceeds with the legal process, including discovery and trial if applicable. Okay. So, also presented at trial. I want y'all to pay attention to this as well. Presented at trial. We're going to get deeper into that. Here's the elaboration where this presented at trial comes into play. No immediate outcome. A denied motion doesn't automatically guarantee the evidence in question will be admitted at trial. Hold on. The judge may need more context or information to make a final decision. Now, to all the dumb motherfuckers out there that don't know what this just said, this simply just means that although the judge denied the motion, it doesn't mean at all that it's just completely thrown out. Okay? It more than likely, or it could very possibly be that they're analyzing it and they're looking for, they're still checking it, observing it, and trying to extract any information they can to finally make a decision. So even though the motion was denied, that doesn't mean there was an actual final decision. They may still be going over the paperwork and the documents to try and come to a decision and come to a conclusion on what they want to do with the evidence presented to them. Okay, so that's another thing. Okay, people just are out here running around thinking, oh, his motion got denied, it's over. No, it's not. It could be getting analyzed right now as we speak. Okay, so opportunity for objections. Even if a motion is denied, the party who filed it can still object to the evidence when it's presented during the trial. Then, boom, presented during the trial. That came up again. I want y'all to pay attention to that. This is a crucial step because the judge will evaluate the evidence based on the trial's specific circumstance. Now, here's what I'm going to explain to you. The evidence, and this is what I meant by pay attention to every time it popped up saying presented during the trial. The evidence that he presented today can still be used on June 24th, which is their next court date. It can still be used. So that's why I'm looking at these comments and I'm saying, yeah, I guess you guys can come up to whatever conclusion you want, but he still provided evidence at the end of the day. At the end of the day, he still provided evidence that 100% made the judge look at it and say, okay, so it's not one-sided. You both mutually are domestically violent against each other, and both parties are not innocent. So there's going to be another court hearing on June 24th to nip it in the bud, hopefully, okay? And things go smooth between the two, Halle and DDG. So that's why it's another court hearing, and that's why DDG will still be able to use the evidence, especially when we get to this circumstances part. The circumstances of that court hearing, let's say, of course, which most likely is what's going to be, DDG is fighting for custody, whether that may be sole or whether that may be joint custody or whether that may be also him wanting to lift the restraining order that Halle Bailey has against him. They can still use this evidence in that trial against Halle. So this evidence that DDG presented to the court today can still be used in another trial against Halle. So that's why I'm saying a lot of people are over here saying that, oh, DDG ain't do shit. What DDG thought he was going to do? Ha, the judge denied your motion, bitch. Y'all don't understand that the motion being denied doesn't take the evidence out of it. The evidence still sticks. The evidence still stays, and the evidence can still be used. It's just the motion that was denied. That's it. Denied because there was no actual proof of immediate danger. People are looking way too deep into this because they hate this man, and they just simply want him to lose. I've even been seeing people praying, literally praying to God, that he doesn't get any custody, but 6 hours of visitation. Pretty wild to me. That's very fucked up, actually. Okay. Here's the continuing the case. If a motion to dismiss is denied, the case moves forward with the legal process, including discovery and trial. Okay. All right, bet. Okay, the party that filed the motion to exclude evidence must prepare to counter it during the trial, potentially using cross-examination or other legal tactics to minimize its impacts. Okay, so like they said, he could counter this evidence. Not only can they can still use this evidence against Halle, but if there's any other questions or any sort of, if the judge feels like there's some sort of, how can I say this? If the judge feels like there's holes in his story, he can always fight that back and basically explain to the judge why he filed for a immediate emergency motion. So that's basically what is going on when it comes to that part. The emergency motion being denied is not anything like in the sense of what people are saying on the internet. Okay, this does not mean DDG loses. This does not mean DDG is in a terrible spot in the position. This does not mean DDG has convinced the judge that DDG is in bad faith. and he can't get his son anymore. This does not mean that this convinced the judge, just because the judge denied the motion, that, oh yeah, I'm going to be on the other person's side because of what you did today. Like, no, that's not how it works. That's not what happened. And there's many different reasons for why the motion can be denied. We just went over like five, six of them. So just relax, okay? I know a lot of people want to see this man down and out, and people love kicking the man when they're down, but a lot of the things you guys are saying on the internet is just simply bullshit, okay? It's absolute bullshit. It's unsensical. It's not even logical. You guys are out here making up any prediction and any hypothetical that you want. Y'all living in this dark demonic fantasy where DDG is just gonna get bombarded with loss after loss after loss when it comes to Halo, his son, and Halle. And you guys are just, it's kind of like a kink at this point. It's kind of like it's turning them on. Like, they love to hear that DDG is losing in the courts, which is crazy. Other than that, so that's the motion. Now, we get on to the restraining order. I think it was yeah, a temporary restraining order. Now, I searched up why would a TRO be denied. Now this is a actual person, and these are attorneys. There's two answers so far. So here's an answer from Donald Frederick Conviser. Okay, and I searched up specifically CA, yes, California. Okay, I searched up California. I didn't just search up any state. I searched up why would a TRO be denied in California. Equitable relief in the form of a TRO is an extraordinary remedy, requiring not only your fear, but adequate evidence of specific acts of violence or threats of violence for a judicial officer to grant relief ex parte. At the return hearing, the court will hear your testimony and your husband's testimony and make only such orders. Now, this is different. They were married. But let's just read through this. Merely because you fear that your husband will get mad because you sought your community property rights, and your response is not sufficient for the court to issue restraining orders against your husband. So y'all remember the thing about people was saying they gave Halle basically a TRO because Halle said in her document she was afraid that DDG would do something. Yeah, no, you can't just go and say I'm afraid that my partner might do X, Y, and Z, and they grant you a TRO. They granted her the TRO because of the messages in the pictures that she presented. Um, so here we go. All right, boom. Only if you prove to the satisfaction of the court that he committed violence or threatened your life or health, requiring testimony regarding date, time, place, who was present, and who did or said what to whom. You be entitled to restraining orders against him. You would best consult or retain an experienced family law attorney or represent you in divorce. Now, a lot of people is going to read this and say, oh, well, then I guess the judge just didn't think that Halle presented any sort of right harm or whatever it may be to DDG. That's why they didn't grant him the restraining order. I'm going to say this right now. Y'all might say I'm crazy, but that's the stupidest shit I ever heard. DDG literally had pictures. Okay, we're not going to go over the documentations. I'm not here to look at this entire fucking case. But DDG had multiple pictures showing scratches and bruising on his arm, and he had pictures of his thumb being slit open. Okay? Now, if you want to sit here and be biased out the ass and say, oh man, ain't nobody, man, them little baby ass scratches that nigga showed on his arm, that little ass cut on his thumb. If you want to sit here and you want to say that, please dismiss yourself. Don't ever talk about no victims. Don't ever be involved in nobody's I don't want you near nobody that's going through anything, because you are probably the worst person on this planet that has any perspective on shit like this. You cannot sit here and say Halle Bailey's chipped tooth, which barely looked chipped, and that small bruise that she got on her lower arm is more concrete evidence of abuse than DDG showing scratches on his arm and a cut on his thumb. They 2 for 2, my guy. They both showed sores on their arms and cuts and bruises, and they both showed another cut in the bruise that they had. She showed that she had a chipped tooth. He showed that he had a cut thumb and scratches on his arm, and she showed that she had a bruising on her arm. They both showed that there was violence physical violence inflicted on them. Okay? Now, it's up to interpretation when it comes to who actually inflicted the violence on who. I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just here to say both of them showed evidence, concrete evidence, that both of them had wounds and violence afflicted on them, which means that both have proof and evidence that that the other was aggressive to them, okay, and also harmed them and may be harmful to them, okay. So you can't sit here and say DDG's proof is bullshit. That's why they threw out the. That's why they threw out the TRO, because he presented his bruises. He presented scratches. Sorry to tell you guys. Like, listen, just because I know it's Halle and I know, you guys are saying that's a woman, that does not mean you sit here and you undermine somebody else's proof because you have like this hard on for this other person. You motherfuckers is out here acting way too outlandish. So I really doubt that it's the evidence that he presented, which is why she denied the TRO. I doubt it. I doubt it. It could be some other reason. But there's a second attorney. Okay. To qualify for a TRO in California for domestic violence abuse, physical, emotional, or written has to be present. Although I do not know anything about the facts of your particular relationship, it does sound like you think he might abuse you rather than he actually did in the past. Remember, actually did in the past. So even if what Halle did to DDG in the past, first of all, what Halle said that DDG did to her was also in the past is too. The physical hitting, yeah, that wasn't this year, my nigga. So, even if you did do some harm to your partner in the past, right? You can still be granted a TRO. You still can be granted a temporary restraining order. But it's not all. It doesn't always have to be because of domestic abuse or violence. It could simply just be because you feel like Halle Bailey went to the judge and said, he stalks me, he harasses me, he shows up when he's not supposed to, whoopty whoop whoop. And the judge basically went over that evidence and said, okay, I'm going to give you this temporary restraining order so he doesn't stalk you anymore. Highly doubt she got a temporary restraining order because of the domestic violence. Because if that's the case, then the judge should have 100% given DDG the same grace. And the only other thing I can think of is the judge must be biased. The judge is a woman. Now, I'm not trying to say because she's a woman, she's biased. But if we go and talk about the reason why DDG didn't get his TRO granted, because there was no evidence of any abuse or harm to him, but Halle got her TRO granted because there was evidence that she presented that there was abuse and harm to her, and they both presented it. It must be biased. It 100% must be biased because there's no way that both people presented evidence of being physically harmed and emotionally harmed, and yeah, ma. You on a game, baby? No, I'm not on a game. I'm making a video. Why? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just going to give Ace my ID downstairs. Okay. I'll be right back up. Don't be too loud. Yeah, I don't want them to hear anything you got. That's federal. But I got you. Okay, I'll be sitting down in the living room. Yeah. Okay, I got you. So, huh? Huh? Yeah, you can leave it cracked. All right. So anyway, back to what I was saying. Shout out to my Dukes. To qualify for a TR, oh right. So what I was saying was, if if the judge granted Halle Bailey a temporary restraining order, and didn't grant DDG a temporary restraining order, and they both presented evidence that they were physically harmed, that's gotta be biased. What else would it be? What else would it be? I don't know what else would it be other than the judge is moving fishy. Like, you can't sit here and say if both people presented that they both were physically harmed by the other, only one gets to have the TRO. That's fucking wild. That's gotta be bias. What else would that be? All right, but anyway, it would be rare for a judge to issue a TRO in your situation if the documents requesting the TRO did not specifically discuss a history of violence. A TRO against you implies that you are a violent person and it places restrictions on someone's freedoms. Without more information as to the history of violence, the judge will not issue an order restricting someone's freedom. And if in fact you have been physically abused by your spouse in the past and you wish for a TRO to be issued, then you will need to state the incidents with specificity in your request for the TRO. Yeah, so all this is telling me is the judge might be biased. Because what I'm getting from this is the judge denied his temporal restraining order because she felt like the person that he was getting against is not a violent person and didn't do any harm to him. Clearly, we see here by Amanda Lynn, if you have been harmed by your significant other in the past, you can take that evidence, even if it was back then, you can take that evidence and use it in a court to get a temporal restraining order against your partner. So that's why it's kind of like, what else is it if the judge is not out here being biased? Because they both presented evidence. Both of them. Both presented evidence that in the past, they both were violent and aggressive. DDG presented evidence. DDG presented evidence. But baby, yeah, I don't know. Oh my goodness, I ain't gonna lie. I'm on baby watch duty, and I'm trying to make a video. Anyway, DDG presented evidence even in the past that Halle was harmful. Halle was manipulative. As we can see, to qualify for a TRO in California for domestic violence abuse, physical, emotion, uh, or written has to be present. So to request a TRO, you need to have proof that the person physically, emotionally, or any other ways has put this in the kitchen, baby. Go ahead. She got the phone in her hand and everything. She like a little queen. So in any way, right? Domestic violence, you have to present physical, emotion, or even written. Now, DDG has both. He has, I mean, both. DDG has all. He has physical, he showed evidence of his bruises. He has emotional, he showed evidence of her manipulating him and gaslighting him and trying to do certain things or whatever it is by threatening that she would harm herself. And if you guys don't think that's a form of manipulation, you're absolutely stupid. Then he also has written, he provided text messages, etc. So DDG provided evidence that should be able to get him a TRO, and she denied it. Now, I don't know if it's true. DDG's attorney did come out and say that they didn't deny the TRO, they granted it, but there's a lot of people that are saying that that's not true, and they did deny it. If the judge denied his TRO, the judge gotta be biased. How the fuck else? There's no way DDG presented evidence of being physically harmed and written documentations plus proof of emotional manipulation and harm, and the judge just denies it? Thank you, baby. Oh my gosh. Yo, my little sister gave me a chip. I'm gonna eat it. You want me to eat it in front of you? That's why you watching me? All right. Wait, hold on. Where you get your chip? You stole the chip from mom. I'm telling. Uh-uh. You stole this Pringle chip from mom. Hold on, it got a little tang to it. Wait. Hey, hey! Oh no! Well, it's on for you. You're banned. You're banned from the room. You're banned from the room. Nope. Nope, you're banned from the room. You're banned. Yep. It's over. You're banned. Oh my gosh. Y'all, she banned from my room. She done took my bag of Doritos and she done popped this shit all over my bed. Oh my gosh, my bed got Cheeto dust on it. It's cheddary. It's cheddary. She banned, man. She banned. I'm banning. She getting banned. Oh my gosh, this shit is bad. Y'all, this shit is bad. I'm throwing all this shit back in the bag though. Oh my goodness, y'all gotta see my bed. This shit is fucked up. Oh my goodness. Oh my God, she banned. She banned. Baby, you are banned. She banned from my room. Nope. You gotta use the bathroom? Come on. Use the bathroom, baby. Y'all, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. Hold on, wait a damn minute. Shit. Use the body. Y'all, I got Cheeto crumbs on my bed. Oh, what? Bobby, where you go? Why you not using the bathroom? Please don't yell because I'm still recording. In the bathroom. Let me try my hand. What, my phone? I'm doing something. You picked the wrong time. All right, I'm back, man. Oh goodness, y'all, she gave me the runaround. Whoo, this video is longer than I intended it to be. So, yeah, it got to be biased. It got to be biased. What other reason for literally presenting proof that 100% should be granted a TRO? Like, I'm confused, y'all. I'm confused. DDG presented both physical, emotional, and written. And he didn't get granted his TRO. Like I said, I don't know if it's true because like his attorney came out and said he was granted it, but there's people saying that's not true. It's false. That they didn't grant him the TRO. They denied it. And there's also blogs, there's articles saying the same thing. So it's very, I don't know, man. I really just hope that the judge is not fucking over DDG on this shit. I really hope the judge is not fucking DDG over with this. I really do. I really hope that the judge is not being biased. I really, really hope because there's no way that both parties presented the same amount of evidence, the same in-depth evidence, and only one party was able to get granted a TRO. That's fucking crazy. Now we got to search up if both parties present evidence, why would only one get granted a TRO? Should we go on Quora? Fuck it, we gonna go on Quora, yo. If two people that both want a restraining order against the other show up at the same time, who does the judge for? In my state, that's not how it works. You don't just show up and see a judge. You upload your proof of need. It doesn't matter who gets it first. The end result is that neither one of you can contact the other one. Even the person getting the no contact order restraining order cannot contact the other. It works both ways no matter who gets it. So the one who goes and gets it first is the one who pays for it. So how you like that? What the fuck? It doesn't matter who files first because it takes a while to process. If both parties show up at court at the same time, both sides will have restrictions from being within our. if it's that bad. And the usual social media and phone call restrictions would also apply. The judge gets paid to listen to both sides, unlike the people in the courtroom. Okay, there is no set standard. It's all about getting an order signed and then getting the order sent to be served. Whichever order gets there first will probably be the first one served. Just a guess. Okay, so this didn't help. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. That chip that she gave me was a little tangy. I want to know what she did to that shit. That shit tastes a little off. I ain't gonna lie. Shit tastes little shitty. Can't lie. It was a shitty chip. It was a shit chip. Um. Okay, so let's read this. Criminal lawyer. Hey man, I don't want to start a chat with this nigga. Stop. Okay, I don't know, man. Uh, can you file? You file a TRO after one's been filed on you. Yes, they can. Okay, so you can file for one, but it might not go through. I don't know why it didn't go through, y'all. Nothing is really saying why it didn't go through. I'm gonna be honest, bro. This shit is crazy. And I'm not really talking about just the situation itself. I'm talking about I hope the judge is not biased. I personally think um the way it's going, it seems that way because there's really no absolute. There's and if you guys feel free, you want to comment. Do y'all really think logically that if the judge grants Holly Bailey a TRO for presenting the same evidence that DDG just presented, if not more, that DDG shouldn't then get granted a TRO? The only thing I could think of, the only thing other than the judge's bias, is the reason why the judge denied his restraining order, if she actually did, is because there's already a restraining order at place, and it wouldn't make sense. That's the only other. I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna try not to be like all these tinfoil hat wearing motherfuckers, and I'm gonna go with the more logical explanation and say maybe the reason why it was denied was simply because it just doesn't make sense. Especially it doesn't make sense for the circumstances situation. That's what I'm gonna put. I'm gonna put it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to file a TRO when there's already one put in place. It just doesn't make sense. So I understand that. I understand that. Maybe that's probably why the judge denied it, because the judge was like, "This don't make no fucking sense," right? I could go with that. I can go with that. But if that's not the case, oh boy, California got some fucked up laws. 38 minutes? Only been 38 minutes? Okay, thank Lord. I didn't want this shit to be no hour. Other than that, y'all, I think I explained what I wanted to explain. Sorry, it's a lot of shit that just happened, man. Hey, bro, this video was all over the fucking place. But like, comment, and subscribe. That's all I wanted to talk about. I didn't really want to talk about anything else. All I wanted to talk about was just these two things. That's it. The misconceptions that people are running with. That's all I wanted to talk about. Just these two things.